Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I'm Dr. Mahbul Wazir. Second lecture of the spinal nerve. Spinal nerve is being formed. Look over here, please. Number one, by the ventral root having motor fibers, and by the dorsal root having the sensory fibers. And present over the dorsal root is the dorsal root ganglion, which also consists of the sensory cell bodies. And then the two unite with one another to form the spinal nerve, which comes out, look, through this intervertebral foramen. But note the point again. Look, ventral rootlets, and then the dorsal rootlets from the dorsal horn cells, and then the dorsal root. Ventral rootlets from the ventral horn cells, motor in function, these are sensory functions. But in the thoracic region, that is T1, T2 to T12, and L1 and 2 segment of the spinal cord, in the later part of the spinal cord, there is also a group of cells which are sympathetic in function. These originate from these cells and join the anterior root or ventral root. In this way, the ventral root in the thoracic region and L1 and L2, it consists of two types of fibers, that is motor and preganglionic sympathetic fibers are white myelinated. Then the nerve which is found in the thoracic region that come out of the intervertebral foramen, that is having three types of fibers, that is sensory, motor and preganglionic sympathetic fibers. This is only true for the thoracic 1 to 12 and L1 and L2 spinal nerves. Okay, then as soon as the nerve come out of the intervertebral foramen, you look, immediately it gives branches from the nerve that passes backward again these nerves through the intervertebral foramen backward into the vertebral canal, and over here it supplies the dura mater, the ligaments, and also the vertebral bone, etc. These are called the recurrent or meningeal branches of the spinal nerve. These come back through the foramen into it. Then next to that, each spinal nerve, already that present over here, also present over here. Along the vertebral column is a sympathetic chain which consists of ganglion connected together by nerve fiber. So as soon as this nerve reaches over here, what happens? The sympathetic fibers separate from the nerve and reach to the ganglion, and this branch of the spinal nerve is now called as white ramus communicant, because these are the myelinated sympathetic fibers that separate from the nerve and reach to the ganglion. Some of them relay, or some of them go down and upward to relay in the other ganglions. Anyhow, the fiber which relay, they come back again from the ganglion to join the spinal again, and this is called as gray ramus communicant, because this is the postganglionic non-myelinated. And now the nerve which passes onward, then this spinal nerve now consists of the sensory, the motor, and the postganglionic non-myelinated, the sympathetic fibers. Okay, and now then the nerve. So in this way the branches are: number one, recurrent meningeal nerve, and number two, white ramus communicant, and third, the gray ramus communicant. And then each spinal nerve immediately divides. You can see into the dorsal ramus and ventral ramus, big ventral ramus. Each spinal nerve immediately divides. Look, when it comes out from over here, from the intervertebral foramen, now having three types of fibers, that is motor sympathetic, each nerve immediately goes into ventral and dorsal, ventral and dorsal. In the same way, the ventral and dorsal primary rami, each nerve divided into two. You can see it also over here, the ventral ramus and the dorsal ramus. Now note, the dorsal ramus of the spinal nerve, the dorsal ramus of the spinal nerve having again it is a mixed, having all types of fibers, sensory, motor and sympathetic. This supplies, note, the dorsal ramus supplies whole of the skin of the back from the neck and skin of the thorax as well as skin of the abdomen up to the iliac crest. All this skin on the back is being supplied by the posterior primary rami, and the posterior primary ramus, look, you come over here please. Each posterior primary ramus which pierces through the deep fascia, it divides into lateral and medial, lateral and medial, lateral and medial. In this way, whole of the skin on the back of the trunk as well as the neck up to the iliac crest, this is being supplied by the posterior primary rami. And over here, the function of this cutaneous nerve is, number one, general sensation of pain, touch and temperature from the skin. And number two, then the vasoconstrictor for the vessel of the skin. And three, the secretomotor for the sweat glands as well as for the sebaceous glands. And then also motor for the erectopyloric muscle of the skin. This is the muscle action of the cutaneous nerves in the skin. And then the posterior primary rami not only supply the skin, but it also supplies the muscles at the back, post-vertebral muscle. Look, all these muscles, erector spinae muscle, which are present over here alongside the vertebral column. Erector spinae muscle, not these muscles. The erector spinae muscles are only supplied by the posterior primary rami, and also some muscle, deep muscles of the neck and the posterior side, erector spinae, splenius capitis, and in this way levator costarum. But the deep muscles on the posterior side of the erector spinae, this is also supplied by posterior primary rami. Okay, while the anterior primary rami I will discuss separately in the next lecture. Okay, in this way I have described the recurrent branches, the white ramus communicant and the gray ramus communicant, and the posterior division or posterior primary ramus of each spinal nerve. Thank you.